Whoo! What is poppin', y'all? It's your boy Lil Boss. We are back with another video. Here is my 2-year Portugal journey from a legal alien to Portugal resident. I was told by 5 lawyers, you need to go back to the States in order for this to happen. I was like, nah, I'm gonna make it happen. You watch the Lil Boss Show, baby. So if you guys haven't watched part 1, stop the video, go watch part 1. Basically, I got denied entry into Portugal. That did a whole video, part 1, on what happened and why that happened. So now I ended up getting in. So after I got denied, it was a crazy situation. I ended up getting into Portugal after a whole like 26 hours. Go watch part 1. So the video starts here. So once I got into Portugal, my operation, my head down was, I'm not going nowhere. I'm on a journey to get my residency, to get my visa here in Portugal. And I'm gonna make it happen by any means necessary. So when I arrived in Portugal, I had no clothes. My suitcase, they said my suitcase never arrived. Again, make sure you go watch part 1. So I checked into a hostel. And again, go watch part 1. Checking into the hostel was because I was starting life fresh. Volunteering in the hostel was a great way for me to save money. I get a free room, well, not a free room, a free bed. I was sharing a room with like 6 people that were also working in the hostel. And I was, so I was volunteering. So the first week, I had one outfit. Make sure you go watch part 1. But I basically had one outfit, with no clothes, because of the whole suitcase situation. There was actually a worker. She was like, I think it was like the 3rd or 4th day. She's like, "Oh, you're looking good today. I like your outfit." In my head, I'm like, "Girl, I've been wearing this for the whole week." But hey, man, that was just my start to my journey in Portugal. So guys, if you see me looking to the left a little bit, I have my computer here. So much has happened that I had to just write everything down, organize it month by month. Stay to the end of the video to find out how I got my residency in Portugal from the impossible, right? So now, operation, let me figure this out, right? So I need a lawyer. So I contacted a real estate agent that I had met, completely forgot where I had met her, to connect me with a lawyer. So connected me with the lawyer. I explained to him I met with this lawyer, explained him my situation, and I told him straight up, I need to figure out how to get my visa and residency here from Portugal. So for those of you that don't know, technically you're supposed to receive your visa before arriving into the country. But the whole situation that had happened and I got in, I pretty much was like, I am not going back. I'm gonna figure this out from here because that's just gonna set me backwards. So after meeting with this lawyer, he pretty much said the best way for you to receive, the quickest way, is to get your residency. He's like, if you start a business here in Portugal, the taxes you're paying from the business, you can use that to then apply that, oh, you've been here, you're contributing to the country, you can use that to then apply for residency. I was like, cool, let's rock. So he helped me start up the business, everything like that. What I didn't know, again, this is what happens when you're operating in a new country. You don't know what you don't know. I'm not from Portugal. I'm not from here. I'm learning as I go, right? This is also technically my first year lifing, also life outside, because before this, I had played professional basketball for a couple years. Before that, I was in school. So this is also my first year lifing, right? So, come to find out, when you open up a business in Portugal, The second you open up that business, the month later, you have to pay taxes and accountant fees, no matter if you're in profit or not. And it's a couple hundred, right? In the States, I was under the impression it's the same thing as the States. When you open up an LLC, you're not paying certain taxes on the company until you hit a certain threshold. Here in Portugal, completely different. So now I'm starting to learn the system in Portugal. So I'm like, hold on. So remember, I had already gotten all of that open, the business and stuff open. So now once someone else informed me about, hey, you're gonna have to be paying this and that, I was like, wait, whoa, I'm not gonna be in profit for a while and I have no money. When I moved to Portugal, guys, I'm starting life fresh from scratch. So I was like, damn. So now I was like, this was not like the best information for me in my situation. I need to close this business. So that was a whole finagle of its own. I'm now contacting the lawyer. He's not answering. I'm like, yo. So I took it upon myself. I figured it out. I'm calling whatever office you need to. Like it was a whole thing. I had to go to like 2-3 different offices around the city to get it closed. Pretty much the person that I was on the phone with saw my situation and saw that I was new in the country and was like pretty much like helped me close it. So that was a whole case of its own, right? Yeah, so now I'm pretty much life in the hostel, right? So when I moved to Portugal, right, my plan was I'm gonna work in the hostel, volunteer in the hostel for as long as I have to, because I'm gonna be starting physical therapy on my shoulder that I had torn from my previous season. And then from there, my process was I'll get into real estate from there. I'll get into working and stuff like that. So as I'm in the hostel these couple months, first off, the hostel job was a lot, right? So you're volunteering a lot. You're dealing with guests. You're in the hospitality business. They're always right. But I was meeting a bunch of people, and I started to realize that I met a couple of I was meeting Americans and British. I started to saw a common relation that they were all working in tech. I was like, okay, this tech thing, right? And this allowed them to be remote. I met one dude who was traveling the world for 6 years, software engineer. I met another dude that was traveling the world. He just came from Brazil. Fast forward to December 2022, so 2 months later, I pretty much was like, so also too, guys, I pretty much was like, I need to figure out the best route to get the visa, right? So come December 22 now, I was like, I need to get out this hostel. Yo, it was just not good vibes. It was a lot. It was a lot more volunteer work than expected. So that with the training, I was like, yo, I just don't have as much time as I need to like get a job, get situated, all that, right? So, now this is December 2022. Great friend of mine, knew my situation, kind of what was going on. She was leaving for the holidays, so she let me like stay in her place while I left, like pretty much sublet her place. Like God bless her. Thank you so much. Like, so that was like a blessing. So now I pretty much left the hostel. I'm in her spot. And then from there, I started the treatment on my shoulder, and I met with 2 new lawyers, right? So I met with 2 new lawyers. I told them my situation. I looked at them. I said, listen, here's the situation. Here's what happened. I need to figure out how to get a visa. I was from Portugal, from here. They kept saying, oh, well, you're going to have to go back. You're going to have to go back. So, guys, remember, watch part 1, the context pretty much. But one thing they did say was they pretty much said, as an American, you have 3 months in the country, right? And then your 3 months is extended. You can extend those 3 months. I said, okay. let's extend those 3 months. While those 3 months are happening, I'm gonna just figure everything out, get all the documents needed for the visas. While that also was happening, I started the treatment on my shoulder, and then I was also just applying to jobs, just applying to jobs. So what I did was, I technically, when I arrived into the country, my 90 days restarts, right? Like I got into the country legally, but I technically was still overstayed from my previous time being in the country. So I quickly realized I can't get a job here in Portugal, right? I need to figure out another way, right? So when I met all these people working remote, I was like, bingo, I need to get a remote job. So I got the job. After just I think I was on I was on TikTok one day. One of my guys, he does like daily vlogs. He did daily vlog at the time, and he just, one of his hashtags was like remote work tech. I'm like, yo, what? So he was in sales. I was like, bingo, that's what I do. So I pretty much I was doing that. He was helping me apply to other jobs, and then, like, blessing of a time, a job opened up with his, and he referred me. So this was, now I think December I applied, January I got the job. So now we're in January 2023, right? So started the new job in January. My friend came back from her holiday break. I still didn't find housing. So guys, remember, like, I started life fresh. I barely have bread. I barely have money. Lisbon is also just a place too where it's hard to find housing or good housing, because especially at that time in 2023, the market was just, everybody was just flocking to Lisbon, flocking to Portugal in general. Prices was rising, right? So I was on her couch for a bit. That was like, I'm gonna keep it honest with y'all. That was a very tough time, because it brought me back. So for those that don't know, I mean, probably most of y'all don't know, I was homeless for some time back in high school in 2015, right? I'll do another video on that. But I pretty much vowed and swear that I'd never be in that situation again. So when I was in that situation with being on her couch, it kind of brought me back to that. But then I came to the realization, like, this was more, I guess, by choice, because I chose to, leave the States, go to another country, start life there. Whereas in high school, I was just straight out evicted. You know what I mean? So just been on this overseas journey. I'm thankful for everybody that has always welcomed their doors to me. But I also got to a point where I'm like, I just feel like I'm in people's space. You know what I mean? So I was just head down. Locked in. Like, when I'm locked in, I'm locked in. I'm focused. I was like, I gotta find a place. And then I gotta find, I just gotta find a spot. So for a couple weeks straight, I pretty much was trying to find a guest house now. So the hostel situation was one room. It was like, let me see, 4 bunk beds or 3 bunk beds. So that's like 6 to 8. It was like 6 of us to the room. I was like, yo, I need a situation where I just need my own room. Like, I'll do the like the managing and the volunteering. I just need my own room, right? Because, like, I'm now life in a new country. I'm also trying to launch my brand, trying to do my business work while also do the job. I was doing a lot at the time. So I was hustling. So what I did was the same thing I did to land a pro contract, the same thing I did to land a hostel gig to get to Portugal. I started emailing and I'm calling. So I'm starting emailing and calling hostels and also on the websites, right? To pretty much, hey, like, I'm looking for, pretty much like, hey, I'm looking for a, I pretty much said I'm looking to volunteer, to be for a guest house, for a hostel, but looking for a private room, right? So hustling, hustling, hustling. I was also I was also walking throughout the city, right? So I think I spent like a couple days, and I was fasting at the time, y'all. So this is hustle mode. I'm gonna get it. I pretty much was, yeah, I had a list. Like I looked up every single hostel in Lisbon, every single guest house in Lisbon. I think the website too was like Workaway or Work Info and stuff. And I got reply backs and stuff like that, but most of them were, hey, no, you'd have to share the room, da da da. I was like, I'm gonna find this specific one. I remember one day, that day I was fasting, I walked around the city. I was just going up to these hostels, going up to these guest houses. One person, I was like, I was so close. They were like, no, not at this time. Maybe if this was a couple months before, etc. So I got off the phone with one dude one day. He was like, yeah, you know what? We're actually going under new management soon. Let's meet. I'm like, word. So that's that. While that was also happening, I was also applying for jobs, right? Like I said, my friend recommended me, and I got that remote job. But guys, I'm technically at this point. Let me see. I arrived in October, so October, November, December. So I'm technically now illegal. I'm technically now illegal in Portugal. I can't leave. I can't go nowhere. This is a remote job, right? I had a situation where my basically my cousin had to fly me. He flew me the laptop to start this job, right? Whole hassle. Yeah, yeah. Like, he pretty much flew me up like he flew to Portugal to bring me the laptop to start the job, right? So shout out to him, because that was just a whole finagle of its own, just starting that and getting all that situated. So now, this all happened in January 2023. February 2023 is now I move into the guest house. I start the guest house job there. I believe it was around like February 15th. And then also I messed up my hip now. So guys, remember, so while all this was previously going on, I was also doing physical therapy on my shoulder, right? Got cleared from that, just from long-term being a professional athlete for basketball, playing in college. I've always kind of had like hip problems, and then after like a dance workshop, it like tore. So I ended up after doing the MRI, they found something called FAI, femoral acetibular impingement. I had that in my hip, and then which also caused like slight tears. So basically what that is like, we have our ball and socket joints, right? Like your shoulder, hip, knees, ankles. With your hip, basically think of it like it was out of place. It was basically out of place. So it being out of place, it wasn't like moving the way it's supposed to, which then caused some tears. So I'm like, yo, this can't be happening, yo. So it was just 2020. Like this is y'all gonna just stay tuned to the end, because 2023 was a movie, right? So now, March 2023, I have the appointment to now extend my tourist visa, right? When I arrived at this appointment, the lawyer, basically, yo, I'm in the appointment not knowing what's going on, because the lawyer and the immigration officer, they're speaking Portuguese. I'm looking at the immigration officer's face the whole time. I can't read him, right? This also made me realize I gotta learn this language. I can't be in the country and not be able to communicate and not know what's going on, right? So the whole time I'm nervous. I'm there. I'm like, damn, like, What if he says, no, arrest him? You know, he's illegal. Like, I'm just like, yo, I don't know what's going on. I'm looking at the lawyer. She's not looking at me. Like, I'm just nervous. So basically, after the appointment, I'm looking at it. We walk out. I'm looking at her. I'm like, hey, what happened? She goes, 1 second. Like, she wanted us to wait to walk out. Basically, she said, listen, she said, he saw the situation that happened at the airport in the system. He was like, we can't extend your tourist visa because you're already overstayed. And he pretty much was like, you're fine. This is a country where they're not gonna come, arrest you and deport you. He basically was just like, he advised to go back to get he was like, you just have to get your visa. Now, again, guys, you got to go watch part 1. But basically what happened at the airport was when I got denied entry into the country, I ended up getting into Portugal. But when I got denied, I ended up, just go watch part 1, but they were gonna send, I pretty much said I'll go to London rather than them denying me and sending me back to Boston where I flew from. Because by law, when you get denied entry to a country, you have to go back to where you came from, 1. But 2, they also put a red stamp in your passport. You're denied entry into that country. You can be banned for 10 years, and that's all just on your passport. So when the officer let me go to London, I told him, yo, do not put this situation, don't put this situation in the system. He was like, okay. Come to find out now, in March 2023, that whole situation happened in October. Go watch part 1. In March 2023, when I tried to extend my visa, the officer was like, we see this situation that happened, so you're already overstayed. I was like, oh my goodness. So pretty much, I looked at the lawyer pretty much was like, you have 2 options. So there's 2 types of visas, right? That they were informing me. The 2 types of, so the visas, both visas, so you have the manifestation of interest, right? The manifestation of interest is basically what the Cape Verdeans, Brazilians, the route that they were taking. Basically, it's when you come to the country of Portugal, right? You have your 3 months here, and then you have interest to stay and remain in Portugal and get a job here. And then there's other visas like the D7 visa, the D8 visa. Those are pretty much like remote work visas, nomad visas. D7 is like having a certain amount of money in the account, etc. What I noticed was that I had friends, I knew people that did this manifestation of interest visa route, and they were waiting 2 years for their appointment, not even for the visa, for the appointment, right? So I'm just like, okay, it does not make sense for me to put myself in that bracket, right? And also, that is also the route that all the Portuguese-speaking countries were taking. The privilege that I realized, I have an American passport. So go the route, go the visa that makes sense, that also the government was pushing. They were pushing like the entrepreneur visas, the highly skilled worker visas, the remote visas, the nomad work visas. I was like, I'll do that, right? But the thing is, the lawyer was like, you have to go back to the States to do that. I was like, I'm not going back. Yo, it's just that simple. He was like, I'll look at my contacts on the ground if there's a way to do it from here. I'm like, okay, cool. So he did that. We met again, and he was like, and remember guys, each meeting I have to pay. So I'm paying for this. So listen, he goes, contact said, it's not possible. You have to go back to do it. I looked at him, I was like, all right, cool. Thank you so much. Right then and there, that moment, there's no, thank you. I'll take it from here, boss. Like, I just realized some certain things, you just have to take matters into your own hand, right? Because there's always a way. It may not be the quickest way. It may not be the right way. It may not even be the legal way. There's always a way to get stuff done, right? And you guys are probably like, oh, well, why didn't you go back to the States? One, when I left, there was me not going back. Two, especially to get, when I got into the country, there was two people that could have told me to leave. God and the president. If either of them was knocking at the door, okay. If it was the president, I'd maybe think about it. But basically, the way the immigration system is set up here in Portugal, the way the whole process is, there's no time frame. So me going back was gonna now set me backwards to have no time frame to then apply, to then try to get back. I'm already at where I wanna be. Figure it out. That was my mindset. So I was like, all right, so there's no need for that lawyer. I'll take it from here. So that was in March. So now pretty much was just now, when I looked up the information, so I started to take it into my own hands. When I look up the information for the visa, I'm seeing all the like paperwork and stuff that I need. And just so to give you guys, pretty much it was money in your bank account. At this point, this is 2023, March 2023. It was around $4,000. You have to have that in a Portuguese bank account. You have to have, a background check from your home country so they see that you're not, a criminal escaping that country. You have to have the job contract. You have to have pay stubs from the job. A one-year lease, 1 year rental lease here in Portugal. I believe that's it. I could be forgetting a couple other things. So I just started to round that up, right? So I was like, okay, let me see what I can do here from Portugal. So I got in touch with another good friend of mine, who's a lawyer here. He's an American, but works for an Italian company, but based here. Explained my situation, told me about a crazy similar situation that he had in like China or something like that. So I was like, yo, so let me just start getting these documents together. So I asked him, how do you think I can get my fingerprints? He mentioned to me that there's two ways you can get them. At the police station. We're not doing that. I'm not snitching on myself. At the police station, and then also at hire a private inspector to do your fingerprints. Guys, stay to the end of this video to see how how I just made how I even just got this. Just stay. So now, guys, stay to the end of this video to see just how this came about. Like, how did I get my residency from nothing? So now I'm on the phone. Same thing. I'm back to the hustle mode. I'm on the emails. I'm on Google, just typing in private inspectors. So I'm private inspectors in Lisbon. So I'm calling each one, trying to get the, hey, do you do fingerprints? No, we don't. Hey, we're retired. Hey, we're not open, et cetera, et cetera. So you know how in Google where you type something in, you have page 1, 2, 3, 4, the pages. I go all the way. I go to each one, and I go to the last person. A guy named Tony. Shout out Tony. I still gotta call him. I still haven't talked to him. But I pretty much told him my situation, what I'm trying to do, everything like that. And he gave me he gave me life advice, right? Advice that I'll never forget. He was like, yo, listen, man, he's like, first off, welcome to Portugal. I'm glad you love it here. You're trying to figure it out. He was Portuguese, but he had an Italian accent. So I was asking him how he moved to New York, grew up in New York, got a wife out there, all that stuff. But he told me something. He was like, listen, what you're trying to do right now, he was like, you need to cut off the middleman. I said, cut off the middleman. He was like, right now, you're trying to apply for this visa. And VFS, so VFS Global is like the third party company visa programs that these countries use to apply, right? So you can apply for these visas. He was like, they're backed up. They have hundreds of thousands of applicants. He was like, you need to cut off the middleman. He was like, try this. He told me a building office that I could go to apply for the visa directly to there. I was like, all right, cool. Appreciate you, Tony. So I went there that like next day, so this whole journey, I'm just moving on faith. Like, remember, like I'm in the country trying to figure out how to get the visa. I also don't really have money. That was the biggest challenge, right? Money talks, right? So, and I'm in a country where I don't speak the language. So I go to this building that he had recommended. Because of COVID, they had this other route where you can apply for the visas from here, but that's only if you're a British citizen. And I'm not. So I was like, okay. Everything that happened, I see it as I'm one step closer. I'm figuring it out, right? I was like, cool. So I get back home that day. Remember, I'm staying, so while all this is happening, I work in a guest house, right? So I'm in the hospitality business. I'm dealing with guests every day, morning to night. I managed 2 buildings, people that are arriving to Lisbon, staying here in the rooms, and you're dealing with complaints. I'm going to sleep with complaints. I'm getting woken up in the middle of the night with complaints, everything. So I get back to the spot and I'm like, cut off the middleman. Like it just, I'm pacing in my little room. I'm like, cut off the middleman. Like, cut off the middleman. I'm like, so now I start thinking. I was like, okay, I'm trying to do this visa process through this company. I was like, hold up. I grew up in Massachusetts. I'm a resident of Massachusetts, right? Massachusetts, Boston, there's a lot of Cape Verdeans, a lot of Brazilians. Throughout Massachusetts, there's a lot of Portuguese. I was like, there's no way they're using this company when they're applying for visas. There has to be a Portuguese embassy. It's just flowing, right? I'm like, let me look it up. So boom, I find a Portugal embassy in Boston. So now I'm like, bingo, cut off the middleman. Because remember, guys, that company is the third party company. It's just a long process, right? So I cut them out. I find the embassy here in Boston. So now I pretty much was like, I found an email, I found a number, right? Online, calling the number, no answer. I called the number. It was an Indian hotline. I said, what? So they gave me an email. So I emailed them. I emailed that, and I pretty much was like, hey, how you doing? I'm looking to apply for a residency, for a visa in Portugal. Give you guys context. VFS Global has 3 locations: New York, DC, California. So basically, let's say I was in the States at the time doing this, they would have sent me to New York. So I pretty much said to the email, I'm not looking to travel to New York, blah, blah, blah. Could I just apply for this visa? Is there a way I can apply for the visa from here? They got back to me and said, as long as you're a Massachusetts resident, bingo, cut off the middleman. And remember, I'm doing this from Portugal. I'm estou aqui in Portugal, right? So now I'm like, okay. So now I'm like, I get that. I start applying applications. I now figure out that I can do my fingerprints through the U.S. Embassy here in Portugal. So that was a whole, trying to get the whole private inspector thing. So now I set an appointment up for that, right? So now, guys, it's April 2023, and now I find new lawyers to meet with. So a friend of mine had connected me with these lawyers. Again, when you're in a new country, when you're in there's only so much that you know, right? So like, as much as I didn't even want to work with these lawyers, I was like, I have to. Like, I just don't know what's up. But now this time, so now this is the third and fourth lawyer now, right? I now come with information that I have gathered, research I have done, etc. Right? So I come with these lawyers. I'm like, look, here's how this is gonna work. I told them the situation. They were the first lawyers that just understood it and got it. I was like, yo, I'm illegal. Yo, I'm illegal. I've been here overstayed, but I'm not going nowhere. I need you guys to help me figure out how to get my visa from here. They got it, right? So they again now recommended the manifestation of interest. I was like, okay, like it just, which again, I'm like, yo, I'm not really for that. But what I did was, I was like, okay, here's what we're gonna do, and here's what I think makes sense. You guys help me out the manifestation of interest part. I was like, we're gonna attack this just like a three-headed monster. There's three routes here. We got the digital nomad visa, remote work visa, the manifestation of interest, and as a backup, I'll go to school. So a school route is another route that people have come to Portugal. It's the easiest way, I think personally, to get a visa because they can't deny you. Like you're here for school, right? They have to figure that out and get you your visa because you got to go back to travel for family, whatever. So, and they said that makes sense. They said, we'll apply for that, we'll do that, and whichever one comes first, we'll take it. I was like, okay, cool. So I already gathered my information for the digital nomad visa. They were helping me out with the manifestation. The manifestation of interest visa is like stuff from Portugal. Like I had to go to like Junta de Freguesia, which is basically like the town parishes and stuff like that. Had to just get documents, just a whole nine. And yeah, so basically the plan was, so this is April now. In May, I had a company outing for the remote job that I was working. That was in the States. But remember, I can't leave Portugal. So my plan was, if I can get an appointment for the visa to be in May, I go back to the States, I go to the appointment, I also go to the company outing, I'm approved, and then boom, I just head back Portugal and just wait now for the visa to come in, right? So we applied online. We got an appointment for May. I was like, bingo. A week later, or 2 weeks later, I'm speaking with these lawyers. We're trying to do now the part that they were gonna help me with. They ghost me. I'm like, are you serious? I'm like, what? They ghost me. Here's where I messed up. I paid up front. Again, life lessons. Don't pay for the full service up front, right? They ghost me. So I'm like, yo, you gotta be kidding me. That's my fourth, fourth lawyer now. I'm like, yo, I'm done with lawyers in Portugal. I'm just done. Yo, I'm just done, man. I got screwed. I barely had money. They got a piece of that. Ghosted, right? One thing is too is that this is very important to remember. Part of the visa, right, with all your requirements, I didn't have all the money that you need to put in the bank account. So that's something that you have to have. So the appointment is set up for May, right? The appointment is also the same time as I have my appointment here for my hip in Portugal. So guys, I get to Portugal, I'm hustling for like 3-4 months. Now I'm starting to breathe a little bit. I got the remote job. I was I was pretty much working two jobs. I had the job managing the guest house and the remote job at the same time. Yo, there's one point, there's points where I'm at four screens at once. Like it was a lot. I can't front. Did that for a couple months. May 2023, I get hit in the mouth again, right? I I get let go from my remote job because I pretty much had to now, because the goal, pretty much the plan was I'll have my visa back in time. That time when I had got hired in January, I'll have my visa by May. Didn't have my visa in time, and I could not leave. If I left the country, there was no getting back in. So this is life decisions now. I'm not gonna make a temporary decision for a job that I don't see myself being with for the rest of my life, right? This is life decisions now. So I pretty much let them know can't travel because of the situation. Got let go, couldn't go to the company outing. They ended up finding out I've been here, etc. So got let go from the remote job. Guest house, got let go from that. Yo, I'm getting fired on my day off. Guest house job, basically that was a lot. The managers came and was like, hey, we really like you. You're getting, our job was pretty much based off reviews, right? So Airbnb, booking, I'm getting good reviews. 9, 10, 8 to 10s, right? For staff. Oh, we love the boss. He's great. He was welcoming, et cetera, et cetera. But the facilities was like 2 or 3. These facilities, yo, that they had me working in was just old style Lisbon facilities that just really needed to just be remodeled. Like it was really bad. So they were like, hey, you're doing well, but we need someone that's going to make sure we get good reviews for the facilities. I'm like, yo, y'all gotta just renovate the building. I can't get mad that Bob or Susie's flying in from Australia, and when they arrive to Portugal, they do not see how the room looks on the pictures when they arrive. There's only so much you can do, but the guess is always right? So it was like a blessing in disguise because it was a lot, but I did what I had to do. It wasn't something that was long term. I did what I had to do. Again, I was just hustling. I was hustling, starting life fresh. Rent is your biggest expense. Even though I had my remote job, I still had to save money. So I lost it all. So this is May now, 2023. So job loss, both my jobs, and the money from the lawyers. So now, guys, losing the guest house job is also losing my housing situation. So I now have 1 week, 10 days to be exact, 10 days to find a new living situation. I'm head down. Yo, I'm head down. So I go on Idealista. So Idealista is like the #1 website here in Portugal that people use to find houses and apartments. So I go on Idealista, I'm looking for apartments. I found the one that I'm in now, right? It was one room that was available. So this apartment's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. I got a view of the river. Like, so I see that a room is available, and now this is also May time, where the prices start to get jacked up because now the summer's approaching. It's hot. Everybody and their mamas and their dogs is coming to live and be in Portugal, right? So the prices is starting to boost, but I see that my room is low, right? And it's a studio. No, excuse me. Not a studio. It's an ensuite. There's a walk-in closet and a bathroom in there. But so I see that the price is lower than all other prices. I'm like, hold up. Like, and another big thing about trying to find rooms and apartments and housing in Portugal, there's a lot of scams that happen because they see people that are coming from all over. So there's people that are just scamming because foreigners just have to pay a lot of, like, you just have foreigners that are just paying a lot of money up front because they're just trying to get their visas and stuff. So I was like, okay, well, I have nothing to lose. I have 10 days to find a place. Well, maybe like 6 days at this point. Let me just go. So listen, something about me, I move by faith, straight up. Like, yo, like, this is just, Like, when I started this journey, I did not know how I was gonna get my visa or residency. I didn't know when it was gonna happen. I just got faith that it's just gonna work out somehow, some way. That's just God's grace, bro. So when I came to the apartment, I brought my suitcase. I got my life in my suitcase. I left the guest house. Before I even accepted the room or anything, I was like, I need to go see what's the situation. So I brought the suitcase. I left it downstairs. I came in. He's showing me the apartment. He's showing me the room. Now, he's doing the talking, explaining the room. I'm looking, I'm trying to find mold. I'm trying to find a hole in the wall, like a bug underneath the bed that's been dead or something. And nothing is, I don't see anything. So he shows me the apartment, he shows me everything. So I'm like, yo, if you don't have me asking, like, why is the room at this price? Because I didn't want to ask him that up front. I wanted to try to find it myself, and I didn't find it. He goes, oh, because there's no window in this room. I was like, I'll take it. Yo, bro, what? So basically, in my room, there's a window, but it's like a slight, I mean, I can show you guys literally. So look, it's like a slight crack, right? Because that room is renovated. Yeah, so I pretty much was like, yo, I'll take the room. So like this apartment was originally 2 bedrooms, but they renovated in that room. So the window is just a little crack, but it's to the living room. There's no window to like the outside to the room. So basically it was a hard sell for the previous roommates because they pretty much had to explain like there's basically no window in the room. So people didn't want to take the room. I was like, yo, I'm coming from a guest house where I just had one small room, right? And I'm sharing the bathroom and kitchen with all the other guests. And it's not the best idea to live where you work because you're trying to separate peace on your days off. People are bothering you. I had like one room, one of the guests was like, this looks like a jail cell, put it that way. And I also had no window in that room, but I'm thankful because I was living rent free. You know, I'm coming from nothing, so I'm blessed. And it was in downtown Lisbon. And then before that, I was living in a hostel with 6 people to a room. So I was like, I'll take it. Yo, what? Own bathroom and walk-in closet? Come on, baby. You know what I'm saying? That's God's grace, bro. So in a week, I found a place. So that's June. Also, in May, my appointment, so give you guys context and give you guys a little bit of explanation. When you're applying for these visas here in Portugal, there's 2 appointments. The first appointment is to submit your documents after you apply, and then you wait. And then the second appointment is to come back and after approval to now receive your stamp on your visa on your passport, etc. By law, you have to go in at least once. So my plan was, right? Remember, my original plan was to go back in May and then come back to Portugal. Then once received, just ship it in or whatever. But because of the whole situation, me losing the job, I didn't do that. Also, I spoke to other people that had appointments. One person said, oh, they said like you're not supposed to travel after the first appointment. You have to wait. Oh, they seized your passport. That don't make no sense, right? Like you apply for a visa, they seize your passport, and there's no time frame. What if you have to travel for an emergency or for work? That's also just the thing about this whole Portugal immigration process, guys. People can give you advice. People can tell you what is going to happen, how their experience went. I'm telling you about how my experience went. Nobody else, I promise you, was going to have the experience I had because it's just, I'm blessed, bro. You know, what ended up happening is just crazy. But I say all that to say, it's just a process that for each person just takes time. The rules are constantly changing. It depends on what officer you have. Like, it's just, for everybody's situation is just different. And for one person can give that next person advice, it can make them worse for them. That's why you gotta just take it upon yourself and just do it. So remember, now the appointment I have is in May. So I applied as I'm in the States, right? So now I'm like, okay, what am I gonna do about this appointment? Again, shout out to my lawyer friend. Something called, he put me on to a POA. A POA is a power of attorney. That's pretty much like, let's say when you're old, when you're sick, you can't do stuff, you're pretty much writing off on someone to do important needs on your behalf, whether it's financial, medical, whatever is like something you can't sign or whatever it is. You're pretty much signing off on someone to do things on your behalf. So I did that for my brother. I'm like, hold up, so I'm gonna just do that, right? So I did that for my appointment. So, and I was on the phone here in Portugal while all this was going on. So I appointed him as a POA, because while that was happening, I also had my hip appointment here in Portugal. So we got on the phone. The lady was very nice. She was like, "Oh, everybody loves Portugal. Everyone's going to Portugal." She's lived in Boston. And the one thing she said was, so two things. One, I messed up my fingerprints documents. I wasn't supposed to open that, right? And then, because when I sent it in, I didn't send them the like sealed copy. When you get your background information, they send you the results sealed, and you're supposed to give that. I just printed out a copy that they also gave me online. Also, I did not have money in my bank account. So I pretty much told them that. Well, basically the reason is I was broke. It was just that simple. I was broke, right? But I pretty much explained to her, listen, all the money that I'm supposed to put in the account, I'll get that done and do that before the residency appointment. But here is my bank account. Like, I had a Portuguese bank account, because it doesn't make sense for me to transfer all that now, because I'm gonna get hit with all the taxes. And she agreed. But the truth is, I just didn't have the money. So she was like, it's fine. We'll process your application. Just make sure you have the visa, make sure you have the money in the account before the residency appointment. I was like, okay, cool. Because the residency appointment comes after your visa appointment. Remember that, guys. It's gonna come up. So now, it's just a wait game, right? And this appointment was in March. I just have to wait now. So my plan was, if I don't hear anything back by September, I'm going the route of going to school and try to get the visa from there. Summer goes by. Here, listen, also too, here in Portugal, something you guys need to know, August, just save yourself the stress. You're not receiving anything and nothing's getting done. Everything closes, everybody's on vacation, everybody's traveling. It's just a Europe thing, but it's also like a Portugal thing as well. So now September comes by, I still hear nothing. So now I'm like, damn. So I'm also, so I'm also just like, okay, as much information I have, as much of this I've done on my own, getting the power of attorney, getting the fingerprints here in Lisbon at the embassy, mailing that in, getting the appointment, just as much I've figured out everything, there's still so much that you don't know, and you just need lawyer help, right? And I'm jaded at this point. I've been through 4 lawyers. Took it upon myself, right? So now I was like, okay, I need to speak to a lawyer. Like, I need to speak to a lawyer. So I had another friend recommended me their lawyer, who was pretty expensive, but I pretty much was just like, I just need some information. Explained her my situation. She gave me some advice. She said, I told him that I'm gonna plan to do the student visa route. She pretty much was like, hey, listen, I would not advise you to do that yet, because you should check in with the status of your previous visa. I said, okay. She was like, if you start another visa, it's gonna raise questions of why there's like 2 applications in the system. I was like, okay, she got a point. So I reached back out to the embassy in Boston. So I reached back out to the embassy in Boston, and then also now I'm just hustle mode. So I kind of just took. So after all that happened, I lost everything. I took like a month off, and then I want to say like July is when I started applying for jobs again. But now September, like I'm back locked in mode. So my days were just consisted of like job hunting, like a lot. I was also working on launching my brand, and then figuring out this whole visa situation. But I didn't have a job now. I got let go since March. So I'm I'm down to like my last P's now. Then also I was like, okay, I'm gonna start school, right, in October. Now, that situation that happened with the last, not the lawyers that I just got the information from, the lawyers that screwed me over, that day I went home and I said, and here's why. Because before Portuguese, I speak 4 languages. Now I speak 5, right? So I know what it's like to be, I know when people are in rooms or in places and you're conversating in English, then boom, you start speaking another language, and then boom, switch back to English. It's because you don't want them to hear what you're saying, right? So that happened a lot in that meeting room. And then boom, I ended up losing money. So I got home that day, I was like, yo, this happened in the lawyer's office. This also happened in the immigration appointment with that lawyer and the immigration officer. And then it also happened when I got denied entry into the country. I can't be in a country where I can't communicate, right? So when I went home, I was like, I'm signing up for class. So now it passed October 2023 is when I start Portuguese language school. So I went back to school. I went back to college. It was a 1-year Portuguese language course. Agora eu falo muito português. And it was great. It felt great. It felt good. Like I was back in school, and I was just happy to now start learning the language so I can now communicate. With that being said, October I start school, and then boom, it's life kind of hit again in October 2023 because I had a lot going on, right? I started school. I launched my brand October 11th, 10/11/22. If you watch part 1, 10/11/23, October 11th, 2022 was when I got denied entry into Portugal. So October 11th, 2023 is when I launched my brand. That same week, that's also when the Israel-Palestine war broke out. And the reason why that affected me personally is because my best friend, he's from Israel, he's Israeli. I knew about this whole situation before everybody else, right? Because he hit up the group chat like, yo, we just got attacked. I need you guys to help me find the next flight out here. I'm like, whoa. So that's happening. So I'm hearing about news updates and stuff from him, from a local on the ground. This is someone that's dear close to my heart. Also someone who's basically a sis to me, Palestinian. So I'm hearing updates from her end, who she's hearing it from her family, who's getting messages, who's getting this and that. So I say all that to say, versus like people that are just talking about it because of it's on the news and social media, I'm hearing about it from close people that are dear close to my heart. So just that with school starting, with me launching my brand, and then also I'm at the point now, I'm truthfully barely eating. Like I really remember the day I launched my brand, I had some like tuna fish. because I'm now at the point where I'm out of work for months, and I'm just down to the wire, right? So first time in my life, I start dealing with a medical situation, right? So guys, remember, while all this is also happening, I'm also doing physical therapy and doing treatment on a torn hip. Now, because of like the stress and everything that was going on, the deficiency in food and stuff, I started dealing with some medical issues, which I won't get into. And I'm just like, wow. Like, I'm just like, wow. You know what I'm saying? So now November, it's just hustle mode, man. So November comes around. I couldn't even officially do my injury treatment because I just didn't have, like, I lost it all, right? So I was down to, I need to just figure out, only money I should be spending right now is food, and then rent. Yo, it was just like by faith, I'm just like getting help to then get that paid. So I wasn't going to the gym. I was trying to do the physical therapy here in the crib. It's just a season of my life I'll just never forget, for real. The symptoms got bad, man. It was just bad. Like, I'll keep it real with y'all. Like, I started having hand tremors. Like, my hands started shaking aggressively. My eyes, like, I couldn't control my eyes. My eyes would just be rapidly shaking. Yeah, like I couldn't sleep, all that. So I ended up finding out like that was just like severe sleep deprivation. And then December comes along. December 7th, man. So 7th is like, that's my number. That's the holy number. That's like, like God built the world in 6 days. He rested on the 7th. Like that's the number. December 7th, man, I get the first like sign of we're getting there. So good news that I received, excuse me, let me back up. In November, when I reached back out to the embassy in Boston regarding my appointment, they never hit me back. I emailed up a second time, never hit me back. A third time, they got a response, go, hey, I'm sorry to inform you, but your visa was never processed. I said, what? YouTube, what is poppin'? We're gonna end out the video right there. That is the end of part 2. The story is crazy. It is just building up. So make sure you hit the like button, comment below your thoughts so far, subscribe to the channel, turn on your post notifications, and stay tuned for part 3 to see how the impossible came about of how I got the residency. You got to stay tuned to see even if I got it. You watching the Boss Show, baby. God bless.